So we just had another tragic death in investment banking, and that brings to light the harsh reality of a profession known for its long hours and high intensity demand. And I hope this tragedy serves as yet another reminder to prioritize your well-being above everything else in life. I want to share my prediction on how this tragedy will influence the investment banking and the general high finance profession and your career decision-making process. No, I do not foresee significant changes, unfortunately. Investment banking involves handling time-sensitive transactions worth billions of dollars. And that's a responsibility that attracts individuals suited to managing demanding clients and justifying substantial financial rewards that are tied to the size of these transactions. And IB services are wildly undifferentiated, so it becomes a fierce competition of sheer will. If one firm doesn't overwork its staff, the competitors will. That leads to a pervasive culture of overworking across the industry. For those of you who are familiar with economics, this is a classic example of prisoner's dilemma. And despite attempts to enforce work hour limits in recent years, what we have seen in public news is employees continue to be unhappy, and death due to suicide or overwork still happen. And because of the financial rewards and the hyper competition, the profession attracts individuals with certain personality traits. And those who don't naturally possess them often have to fit in, so they adopt those toxic personality traits. And these personality traits make the toxic work condition even worse with hazing rituals and fake work. Some of these individuals still see the workplace as a fraternity. They're perpetuating the cycles of mistreatment they likely experienced when they were a junior in the profession. And I think real changes is unlikely to happen unless there's something transformative that's happening from the top down, with a clear message that hazing or creating fake work, these are not acceptable. I've heard stories of juniors receiving tasks at midnight that are due the next morning, only for them to find out the next morning that the person who delegated the task didn't even look at the work product the junior worked on overnight. These are not acceptable in any work environment, especially when the juniors are so overworked and stressed in investment banking. We will all die. That's the only fact of life. But we will go in three different ways. Some of us will go quietly, and that's fine. Some of us will leave a lasting legacy because they've made significant contributions to the world. Sadly, as I'm writing this script, James Simons, the renowned quant investor, has passed away, adding to a tough year where Warren Buffett lost Charlie Munger, his partner in crime for decades at Berkshire Hathaway. And the third type, they won't go quietly either, not because they made contribution to the world, but because others will attend their funeral just to make sure they're dead, and maybe even express some public disdain. In investment banking, I argue the proportion of this third type is relatively higher than in a traditional corporation because they have treated others so horribly and showed no remorse. I don't know about you, that's not a way I want to go when my time comes. With that said, the investment banking profession will continue to exist, and I highly doubt any significant changes will occur. It's structurally challenging to alter a demanding profession and the types of personality it attracts and aggregates. Why do young talents still want an IB job? Two things: personal desire and systemic issues. Pursuing finance for money is not wrong, but for many of you, you might vastly underestimate, or worse, are completely unaware of the demanding nature of the profession, particularly in the first few years, let alone climbing the ranks. Those of you who fail to break in should feel lucky. I know you probably won't, because you won't have to suffer on the job just to learn it's a misfit. For those of you who slipped into the profession, you might have it worse because you will suffer through months or even years of misery and publicly venting frustration on finance forums before ultimately quitting. What's more concerning is some of you pursue investment banking to compensate for low self-esteem stemming from low socioeconomic backgrounds or academic or professional profile, or you making career decisions to please your parents. As an East Asian, I could have easily fallen into that stereotype. Thankfully, my parents are nowhere near the stereotype Asian parents that you think they are. And all of these are horrible reasons to pursue any career path. And it's not the 1990s anymore. People only feel bad for you if you tell them you work in investment banking today. Second of all, systemic issues are to blame as well. Tragically, the professional world in so many areas often operates within very rigid career trajectory. You're expected to follow certain predetermined path. Yes, starting investment banking equips you with the technical skills and the business acumen, and it accelerates your career growth, and it gives you the abundance of exit opportunities. But if things were not so rigid, college graduates wouldn't be asking about which year should they jump to private equity or asking about which exit opportunity is better than the other. It's really saddening that people will pursue a job they already know they hate just for the sake of getting into what comes after that job. Even as an aspiring public investor myself, I went through the exact same process of working in sell-side equity research, a profession I had zero interest in working in for a single day, just for the branding I needed to get the public equity funds to be interested in my profile. Firms are also great at creating an illusion of progression once you're in the profession. Human beings are so gullible that you can create a new title, for example, second-year analyst, and just pay you $10,000 more next year to delude you into thinking you're making progress in your career. When you take a step back and think about it, the only thing you accomplish is spending one more year in the profession without getting more responsibility and more pay when you divide $10,000 over 26 paychecks after tax. So please explore what options are out there. Those options might not pay you as much as high finance in the beginning, or they're daunting because no one else has walked that path before. But at least you will not become just another cog that was made in the same factory called an investment bank or a management consultancy. As of now, the world does not work the way I want it to, but I want to believe societal perception will change over time. The professional world needs to start embracing candidates with non-linear career path and a willingness to take risks. There shouldn't be stigma with gap years on your resume, and concepts such as target school or exit opportunities should cease to exist. Focus on yourself over fulfilling others' expectations, whether it's succumbing to parental pressure or seeking validation through your profession. Especially in the United States, the obsession with professional identity as a measure of self-worth is very pervasive and is often very unhealthy. I've had issues with this for a long time that I made this point repeatedly during my Instagram monthly Q&As. I see the worst form of it because I've lived in high talent density areas like New York City and now Silicon Valley. I'm trying to remember that last time I went to a social event and someone did not start the first question. So, what do you do? Job titles, firm brands, career achievement. These are such narrow views of self-worth. Life is more than what you do at work, whether you work for yourself or you work for a company. Fortunately, the COVID-19 pandemic made many of you reevaluate your priorities. Some of you are recognizing the importance of work-life balance and pursuing passion outside your day jobs. And above all, prioritize your health. It sounds super trivial, but a lot of us forget about it. If we don't live, nothing else matters. If a job is jeopardizing your well-being, take a step back and reassess what really matters. There is a right answer here. You need to be alive. Remember, everyone is replaceable. As a public investor, I've seen CEOs get replaced all the time. If you are genuinely passionate about investment banking and you envision yourself becoming the next Frank Quattrone and are willing to make the sacrifices to get there, go for it. But if you're not, you don't have to do investment banking just because others are doing it or you think it can solve your deeper personal issues. And even if you are the passionate type, remember, you don't decide how your body responds to the demand of the profession. So it's okay to walk away if you want to play the long game. Ultimately, the decision to pursue investment banking or any other high-intensity career path is deeply personal. But always remember, your life is too precious to spend it chasing someone else's idea and definition of success. Let me know what you think. If you want to hear more of my take on the investment management industry, I have 2 great videos for you in the upcoming screen. I'll talk to you next time. Peace.